The first thing Rose Vale saw beneath her porch was blood. The second was the silver wolf lying in it. He was enormous, far too large to be ordinary, with an iron-tipped bolt buried beneath his shoulder and frost whitening his fur. Somewhere beyond the mountain trees, hunting horns sounded again. Closer this time. Rose should have shut the door. 3 hours earlier, Adrian Cross had rejected her before half of Frostmere Pack, because an Omega, in his words, could never stand beside the man he intended to become. Now she had no pack, little food, and one good wool blanket to survive the winter. The wolf lifted his head. Silver eyes met hers, not pleading, warning her away. Then riders appeared between the distant pines, carrying royal lanterns. Rose understood only one thing. Someone powerful wanted this animal found, and if she dragged him inside, whatever was hunting him might come for her next. Before we go any further, where are you listening from tonight? Tell me in the comments so I know we haven't lost each other along the way. Stay with me until the end, because the reason this wounded wolf came back to Rose will mean far more than she could imagine. Another horn cut through the snow. Rose dropped beside him. "Don't bite me." The wolf's ears twitched. That wasn't a suggestion. She caught the bolt shaft, then stopped. Removing it here could worsen the bleeding, so she did the more foolish thing. Rose pulled off the only good blanket she owned and wrapped it around his freezing body. The moment the wool touched him, the wolf stopped trembling. Rose stared. Warmth could explain that. What it could not explain was the thin circle of snow melting around her porch. The wolf noticed it too. His silver eyes sharpened. Rose slid her arms beneath him. "Come on, you can stay until morning." Something unseen passed through the threshold. The cottage fire surged. Far beyond the trees, a rider shouted, "Search every cabin. The king is still missing." Rose froze. The silver wolf turned his head toward the voice. Then, with strength he should not have possessed, he stepped between Rose and the door. A low growl rolled from his chest, not at her, at the men searching for their missing king. Rose woke before dawn, because the cottage was too quiet. For several seconds, she lay beneath her thin winter coat and stared at the rafters. Then she remembered. The wolf. She sat up. He was still beside the hearth. The silver animal occupied nearly the entire rug, wrapped in the only good blanket Rose owned. Firelight moved across his massive shoulders. His eyes were already open, watching her. "You are unsettling." One silver ear moved. Rose pushed herself upright, and apparently judgmental. She approached slowly. The wolf tracked every movement. Rose stopped beside him and crouched. "Let me see the wound." A low growl answered. That was almost convincing. The growl deepened. Rose raised an eyebrow. "You were unconscious in my kitchen 6 hours ago." Silence. "I think we can abandon the terrifying predator performance." The wolf huffed. Rose almost smiled. Almost. Then she touched the fur near the iron bolt. His entire body hardened. Rose immediately removed her hand. "All right." The wolf watched her. "I will not touch you there without warning." Something changed in his eyes. Rose waited. Finally, he lowered his head. "Permission." She reached again. The flesh surrounding the bolt was swollen, but the bleeding had slowed. Too much, perhaps. Rose frowned. The bolt should have caused catastrophic damage. Instead, the wound appeared strangely sealed around the metal. Her fingers moved closer. Cold stabbed through them. Rose jerked away. The wolf lifted his head. "That is not normal." She rubbed her fingertips. The cold had not come from his fur. It had come from inside the wound. A bitter scent lingered around the iron. Veilroot. Rose knew the plant only by reputation. Her mother had once warned her never to touch its pale flowers with bare skin. Among ordinary wolves, concentrated veilroot caused fever. Among shifters, it interfered with transformation. In large enough doses, it could trap a shifter between forms. Rose looked at the enormous animal. "You are not a rogue wolf." His gaze sharpened. No. She sat back. You are a shifter. The wolf remained motionless. Rose laughed softly. That explains the attitude. His tail struck the rug once. Her smile disappeared. You understood that. Nothing. You understand everything I'm saying. The wolf closed his eyes. Rose stared at him. That is incredibly rude. One silver eye opened. For the first time since Adrian had rejected her, Rose laughed. It surprised her. The sound seemed to surprise the wolf, too. His ears rose. Then Rose remembered why she was here. She reached toward the bolt. We need to remove this. The wolf's muscles tightened. I know. She filled a basin with boiled water and crushed winter mint into it. Then she found the small leather roll containing her mother's instruments. There were not many. Rose had sold most of the valuable ones after her mother died. She kept 3. A narrow blade, forceps, a curved needle. The wolf watched everything. Rose placed the instruments beside him. This will hurt. He stared at her. You're allowed to bite something. His gaze moved toward her. Not me. The tail struck once. Rose shook her head. Definitely judgmental. She folded a strip of leather and placed it near his jaws. He ignored it. Your funeral. Rose wrapped both hands around the bolt. Ready? The wolf stared. That was rhetorical. She pulled. His claws carved into the floor. Rose stopped. The bolt had moved less than an inch. Blood appeared. Dark. Almost black. The wolf's breath came hard. Again. She pulled. The iron came free. The wolf convulsed. Rose dropped the bolt into the basin. The water hissed. Black veins spread through it. Rose's stomach tightened. Veilroot. The wolf looked toward the basin. Someone wanted you unable to shift. His breathing changed. Rose pressed cloth against the wound, which raises an uncomfortable question. She leaned closer. Who are you? Nothing. Of course, she cleaned the injury. The instant her fingers pressed near his heart, something cold moved through her palm. Rose gasped. A pale line appeared beneath her skin. It traveled from the center of her palm toward her wrist, then stopped. The wolf surged upright. Rose fell backward. Easy. He ignored the wound and shoved his nose against her hand. Rose tried to pull away. He caught her sleeve gently between his teeth, not biting. Holding, his eyes fixed on the pale mark. You can see it too. He released her. Rose rubbed the line. Cold remained beneath the skin. The wolf looked toward the blanket. Rose followed his gaze. One corner had fallen open. An embroidered symbol showed against the faded wool. A small flame enclosed within a crescent moon. Her mother's mark. Rose had seen it thousands of times. She had never known what it meant. The wolf stared at it as though he had. You recognize that? His eyes returned to hers. From where? Nothing, Rose sighed. Right. Our communication system has limitations. She finished wrapping his shoulder, then noticed the floor. A narrow ring of melted snow water traced the threshold. Outside it, snow remained frozen. Inside it, warmth. Rose touched the wood. The strange cold in her palm pulsed. The cottage fire suddenly rose. She snatched her hand back. The flame settled. The wolf was staring again. Stop looking at me like I did that intentionally. His tail moved. You think I did? Once. Rose's mouth went dry. No, she stood. I am an Omega who can barely afford flour. The wolf watched. I do not make magical circles around houses. One ear tilted. Rose pointed at him. And whatever expression that is, I dislike it. A knock struck the door. The wolf was on his feet before Rose could breathe. His lips peeled back. Rose raised one finger. Quiet. The growl stopped. That was somehow more alarming. Another knock. Royal search. Rose's pulse jumped. The wolf moved toward the rear window. His injured leg buckled. Rose caught his shoulder. No. He looked at her. If you run, you will bleed out. Boots moved outside. Several men. At least 6. Rose glanced toward the wolf, then the pantry. In there. He did not move. Go. The wolf stared at her. Rose lowered her voice. I did not drag you through a snowstorm just to hand you over before breakfast. Something passed through his expression. Then he obeyed. Rose closed the pantry door. The knock came again. She opened the cottage. 4 royal guards stood outside. 2 more waited near the trees. Their commander wore a black cloak fastened with a silver crown. Rose Vale? Yes, Captain Elias Ward. His eyes moved past her. We are searching this district. For what? A dangerous animal. Rose folded her arms. Interesting. The captain's gaze hardened. Large silver wolf. Rose kept breathing. Have you seen one? No. The lie came easier than expected. The captain studied her. Behind him, 1 guard inhaled. Captain. What? There is blood. Rose's stomach dropped. The guard pointed toward the porch. A dark stain remained beneath fresh snow. Captain Ward stepped closer. Rose did not move. You said you had not seen the wolf. I said I had not seen a dangerous one. His expression cooled. That distinction may become expensive. Rose's wolf stirred beneath her skin, weak, nervous. Omega instinct urged her to lower her eyes. She refused. My porch! My answer! The captain released a pulse of alpha pressure. Rose's knees almost folded. Then warmth surged behind her. The cottage fire roared. The symbol on her blanket flashed through her mind, and the alpha pressure vanished. Not weakened. Gone. Captain Ward stumbled. Every guard stared. Rose did too. What did you do? He whispered. I was about to ask you the same thing. The captain stepped backward. His expression had changed. Not anger, unease. Rose realized the melted ring around the cottage had widened. It now reached the porch. Captain Ward stood outside it. He looked down, then at Rose. Who are you? Someone trying to have breakfast. One of the soldiers almost smiled. The captain did not. He reached into his coat and removed a parchment. The Alpha King disappeared 2 nights ago during an attack near the Eastern Road. Rose's heartbeat stopped. We believe he may have been poisoned. Her eyes moved involuntarily toward the cottage. The captain noticed. Rose cursed herself. King Rowan Thorne must appear at the Winter Crown Assembly in 3 days, Ward continued. If he does not, the Royal Council may invoke the Regency statute. Rose forced herself to speak. And the wolf? We believe the attackers used Veilroot. Cold crawled along the mark in her palm. The captain watched her. Now I will ask again. He stepped closer to the strange boundary. Have you seen a silver wolf? Rose remembered the animal placing himself between her and the door. He had been barely conscious. Still, he had tried to protect her. No. Captain Ward's jaw tightened. Behind Rose, something scratched softly against wood. Once, the pantry. Rose coughed. The captain looked past her. May we search? No. Miss Vale? No. You understand that refusing a royal search may place you under suspicion. Rose smiled without warmth. I have had a difficult week. Silence. I am discovering suspicion bothers me less than it used to. Captain Ward stared at her for several seconds. Then he stepped back. Very well. Rose blinked. That was too easy. He turned. Searched the next property. The guards moved away. Captain Ward remained. His voice lowered. If you do encounter the wolf, do not let anyone bearing the black sun insignia near him. Rose's skin chilled. What? But Ward had already turned. Captain. He stopped. Why? He looked over his shoulder. Because not everyone searching for the king wants him found alive. Then he left. Rose closed the door, locked it, waited. The pantry opened. The silver wolf emerged. You heard that? His stare answered. The missing king was poisoned with Veilroot. Nothing. He disappeared 2 nights ago. The wolf approached. Exactly when you appeared beneath my porch." His heartbeat became visible beneath the fur of his chest. Rose swallowed. "Are you Rowan Thorne?" The wolf stopped. For one suspended second, Rose thought he might answer somehow. Instead, his legs collapsed. She caught him. The cold mark in her palm burned. Frost spread another inch toward her wrist. Rose gasped. At the same moment, the wolf's breathing became easier. She stared at her hand, then at him. No. The truth formed slowly. Whatever was protecting him was not destroying the poison. It was moving something into her. Rose pulled her hand away. The wolf immediately whimpered. She froze. His wound darkened. Rose touched him again. The black discoloration receded. The frost beneath her own skin advanced. Absolutely not. She released him. The wolf nudged her hand away from himself. Rose stared. "You knew." His head lowered. "You knew it was hurting me." His nose pushed against her wrist again. "Away." Despite everything, Rose's chest tightened. He was dying, and he was refusing the thing keeping him alive because it was hurting her. Adrian's voice returned from the winter bonding hall. Weak, unworthy, a burden. Rose looked at the creature before her. He had known her for less than a day. He already cared more about the cost to her than the man fate had once intended as her mate. Rose sat beside the wolf. "You do not get to decide alone." His head snapped towards her. "My house." She touched the blanket. "My blanket." Then his shoulder. "My terrible decision." The wolf released an exasperated breath. Rose smiled. "Now you know how I feel." By evening, his fever broke. Rose cooked the last of her potatoes. She ate half, placed the other half in a wooden bowl. The wolf sniffed it, then looked at her. "Yes, your mysterious highness. The royal menu is limited." His ears rose. Rose stopped. "You reacted to that." The wolf immediately lowered his head. "Oh, you are terrible at pretending." His tail struck once. Rose laughed. She sat beside the fire. The wolf ate only after she began eating. Another detail. Another question. Later, Rose unfolded her coat on the floor. The wolf looked toward the bed. "No." He stared. "You have the blanket." His eyes moved toward her thin coat. "I am fine." The wolf stood. He caught the blanket between his teeth, dragged it across the floor, then dropped half of it over Rose. She stared. "You need this more than I do." He lay beside her. Half the blanket covered him, half covered Rose. His body heat filled the space between them. Rose's throat tightened. She did not know why that simple act hurt more than Adrian's rejection. Perhaps because rejection had confirmed what she already feared. This contradicted it. She closed her eyes. Just tonight. The wolf's tail tapped once. Morning came quietly. Rose woke beneath the blanket. Alone. She sat up. The cottage door stood slightly open. Her chest tightened. "Wolf?" Nothing. She searched the room. Empty. Of course, he was stronger. He had somewhere to go. Someone important enough for royal guards to search an entire kingdom. Rose touched the cold mark on her hand. "Good." Her voice sounded smaller than she wanted. "Go home." She folded the blanket, stopped. Silver fur clung to one corner. Rose smiled despite herself. Outside, snow had begun falling again. She carried the blanket to the porch. Tracks crossed the clearing, large, deep. They disappeared toward the forest. Rose stood there longer than necessary. Then another set of hoofbeats approached. One horse. She stiffened. Adrian Cross rode into the clearing. Rose's smile vanished. He dismounted. His familiar scent reached her. Oak, leather, the life she had been expected to accept. His eyes found the blanket, then the pale frost line on her hand. "What happened to you?" Rose pulled down her sleeve. "Nothing that concerns you." "Rose, you rejected me." Adrian's jaw tightened. "That does not mean I wanted you dead. How generous." I came because royal soldiers questioned the pack. Rose said nothing. They are looking for the king. I heard. Adrian studied her. Marcus said there was blood near your cottage. Rose's pulse quickened. So you are alone. I noticed. If something dangerous came here, I handled it. Adrian's expression hardened. That is exactly the problem. Rose went still. You always think you can handle everything. There it was, the old wound wearing a new coat. Adrian stepped closer. You are an Omega, Rose. She folded the blanket against her chest. I remember. You should return to Frostmere until this is over. No, I am not asking as your intended mate. Good, because you are not one. His face tightened. I am asking as Beta, and I am answering as someone who no longer belongs to your pack. Adrian stared at her. Rose expected anger. Instead, something almost like regret crossed his face. Too late. He mounted his horse. Be careful. Rose watched him disappear, then looked toward the forest. The wolf had not returned. That night she placed a second bowl beside the hearth anyway. It remained untouched. The next morning, royal bells echoed from the valley. Winter Crown Assembly, 3 days. Rose counted them. 1. The frostmark remained. 2. No wolf. The melted circle around her cottage never froze. On the third morning, Rose woke to thunder. Not weather hooves. Hundreds of them. She rushed outside. A royal procession filled the road. Black banners bearing a silver crown moved between the pines. Soldiers lined both sides of the clearing. Rose's breath caught. A carriage stopped before her cottage. The door opened. A black boot touched the snow. Then another. A man stepped down. Tall, broad-shouldered. Dark hair swept back from a face carved into hard, controlled lines. Silver-gray eyes found Rose immediately. Her heart stopped. She knew those eyes. The entire royal guard dropped to one knee. Your Majesty. Rose could not move. King Rowan Thorne walked toward her. No limp, no fur, no silver paws. But draped over one arm was an old wool blanket. Her blanket. The corner still carried the embroidered flame inside the crescent moon. Rowan reached the porch. He could have entered. Every alpha Rose had ever known would have. Instead, the most powerful alpha in the Northern Territories stopped at the same threshold where a dying wolf had once waited for her mercy. His eyes lowered briefly to the invisible boundary, then returned to hers. Rose Vale. His voice was deep, familiar in a way it had no right to be. Her wolf surged awake. The world narrowed. Pine, winter rain, dark cedar, mate. Rose stumbled backward. No, not again. Rowan did not move closer. The king simply stood outside her cottage, holding the blanket she had given him when she believed he had nothing. Then he asked the one question Rose never expected from a man powerful enough to command kingdoms. May I come inside? Rose stared at the man standing beyond her threshold. King Rowan Thorne, the missing Alpha King, the wounded silver wolf she had dragged through the snow. Her mate, of all 4 truths, the last one frightened her most. Her wolf surged beneath her skin again. Mate. Rose crushed the instinct down. She had trusted that word once. She remembered Adrian standing beneath the winter bonding arch while half of Frostmere watched. I reject Rose Vale. Not strong enough. Not worthy of standing beside what he intended to become. Destiny had given Rose one man before. She had survived losing him. She would not surrender herself simply because destiny had apparently changed its mind. Rowan remained outside. He had asked permission. He was still waiting for the answer. Rose looked at the blanket over his arm. You were the wolf. Yes. His voice did something dangerous to her pulse. Rose ignored it. You understood me. Yes, all of it? A pause. Yes. Heat rushed into her face. Even the potatoes? Something almost amused moved through Rowan's expression, especially the potatoes. Rose closed her eyes. Wonderful. The Alpha King knew she had called him Your Mysterious Highness while feeding him half a boiled potato. She opened them again. You lied to me. Rowan's amusement disappeared. I withheld my identity. That is a royal way of saying you lied. Yes. The immediate admission stole part of her anger. Only part. Why? Rowan glanced toward the royal guard behind him. Dozens of warriors remained on one knee. Rose suddenly understood how absurd this scene must look. The most powerful alpha in the north was standing outside an Omega's cottage, asking permission to cross her porch. Stand, Rowan said. One word, the clearing changed. Every royal guard rose simultaneously. Power moved through Rowan's voice like distant thunder. Rose's wolf lowered instinctively. Then the pressure reached the invisible circle around her cottage and disappeared. Rowan felt it. His silver eyes narrowed. Rose saw the exact moment he noticed. He looked down at the threshold, then at her. You felt that? Yes. What happened? I was hoping you could tell me. Rowan's gaze dropped to her hand. Rose instinctively pulled her sleeve lower. Too late. His expression hardened. The mark. It is nothing. That is not nothing. Rose almost laughed. You have known me for approximately 3 days, most of which you spent covered in fur. You do not get to decide what counts as nothing. Rowan became very still. The guards behind him became even stiller. Rose suspected few people spoke to their king that way. Good. He needed practice. Rowan lowered his voice. May I see your hand? There it was again. Not give it to me. May I? Rose hated that the distinction mattered. She extended her hand. Rowan did not cross the threshold. Instead, he reached from outside. His fingers closed gently around hers. The instant their skin touched, the world changed. Rose inhaled sharply. Heat moved up her arm. Not alpha pressure, not command. Recognition. Her wolf rose inside her with such force that Rose nearly stumbled. Rowan caught her hand more firmly but did not pull her toward him. His pupils widened. The scent of pine, winter rain, and cedar surrounded her. Mate. The bond opened like a door. Rose felt Rowan's shock, his restraint, something warmer, something dangerously close to relief. Then beneath everything, pain, deep, old, lonely. Rose tore her hand away. The connection snapped. Both of them breathed harder. Behind Rowan, several guards politely discovered fascinating things to study among the trees. Rose folded her arms. So Rowan's voice was rougher. So, did you know? He did not pretend to misunderstand. Not with certainty. When? The first night. Rose stared. You suspected I was your mate while you were sleeping beside my fire? Yes. And you said nothing. I was a wolf. You were an extremely communicative wolf. Rowan's mouth almost curved. Rose pointed at him. Do not. The almost smile disappeared. You brought me a rabbit. That was gratitude. You shared my blanket. You were cold. You waited until I ate before you ate. Rowan said nothing. Rose narrowed her eyes. That was not wolf behavior. No. Then what was it? His gaze held hers. Choice. The word landed harder than Rose expected. She looked away. A royal carriage stood behind him. Black lacquer, silver crown, soldiers, power. Everything Adrian had once convinced her she was unworthy to stand beside. Rose suddenly felt ridiculous in her old boots and patched dress. Rowan seemed to notice the change. His expression sharpened. What happened? Nothing. Rose. Do kings always interrogate people on their porches? Only the ones who saved their lives. You survived. Because of you. The frost mark beneath Rose's sleeve pulsed. She said nothing. Rowan noticed anyway. Let me call the royal physician. No, that poison moved into you. We do not know that. I watched it happen. Rose blinked. You were barely conscious. I remember everything. That silenced her. Everything. The blanket. Her sleeping in a coat because he had the only warm covering. The potatoes. Her confession that Adrian had rejected her. Rose's stomach tightened. You heard me talking about Adrian. Yes, and you still came back. Rowan's face changed. Why would that stop me? The question was so sincere it hurt. Rose looked toward the guards. You should come inside before your army develops permanent knee problems. Rowan remained still. Is that permission? Rose sighed. Yes, only then did he cross. The moment his boot passed the threshold, something rippled through the cottage. The fire rose. The frost mark in Rose's palm burned. Rowan stopped. His sovereign presence dimmed. Not his size, not his authority as a man, something supernatural. He turned toward the door. What is this place? My cottage. This is not an ordinary cottage. It was yesterday. Rowan looked toward the blanket. His fingers found the embroidered symbol. The Hearthkeeper. Mark. Rose's heart jumped. You know it, only from forbidden archives. Comforting. Rowan walked toward the table. He paused before sitting. Rose noticed. You do not need permission for the chair. I am adapting. She almost smiled. Almost. He placed the blanket between them. Rose touched the faded embroidery. My mother made this. Was she a shifter? Yes. Rank? Omega. Rowan's eyes remained on the symbol, perhaps not in the way your pack understood the word. Rose sat opposite him. What is a Hearthkeeper? Before Rowan could answer, hoofbeats stopped outside. A guard entered only after knocking. Majesty, Rowan turned. What? Lord Cassian Voss has arrived. Something cold entered Rowan's expression. Rose noticed immediately. Friend? No. Enemy? Not officially. That sounds worse. It usually is. Rowan stood. Stay inside. Rose's eyebrows rose. He caught himself. Please, better. He walked toward the door, then stopped. Rose. Yes? If Cassian asks about the mark, say nothing. Why? Because if he knows what you are before I understand it, you become leverage. Rose's stomach tightened. I thought I was an Omega who could barely afford flour. Rowan looked at her. So did whoever poisoned me. He stepped outside. Rose waited 3 seconds, then followed. Rowan turned. I asked you to stay inside, and I considered it. Briefly. Very. Something almost like frustration entered his face. Rose walked past him. You came to my house, Your Majesty. Rowan. She stopped. What? When we are alone, Rowan? The mate bond warmed. Rose immediately disliked how much she liked hearing that. We are surrounded by approximately 50 soldiers. Then I look forward to us being alone. Rose's heart betrayed her. She kept walking. A second royal party entered the clearing. At its center rode a thin man in a charcoal cloak. Lord Cassian Voss dismounted. He was perhaps 50, silver beginning at his temples, his expression elegant and unreadable. His eyes found Rowan. Relief appeared, too perfectly. Your Majesty, Cassian bowed. The North has spent 3 days fearing the worst. Rowan's voice was cold. Apparently the worst was disappointed. Cassian smiled, then his gaze moved to Rose. The smile remained. His eyes changed. And who is this, Rose Vale? Cassian waited. Rowan offered nothing else. Interesting. Cassian stepped toward her. A pleasure. Rose did not extend her hand. Is it? His smile widened slightly. I can see why His Majesty found Blackridge worth visiting. Frostmere, Rose almost corrected. Then she realized Cassian had made a different mistake. He believed Rowan had come here after recovering. He did not know this was where Rowan had survived. Good. Rose smiled. The scenery is lovely. Cassian's eyes moved toward the cottage, then the blanket visible through the doorway. He stopped, only for a fraction of a second, but Rose saw it. Recognition. Rowan saw it too. Cassian recovered. The assembly begins tomorrow night. I am aware, Rowan said. Your absence has created complications. I was poisoned. So I have heard. Veilroot. Cassian's face remained smooth, an ugly substance. Rose watched his hands. Nothing. Then Cassian stepped toward the porch. The moment his boot approached the melted boundary, he hesitated. Rose felt the mark in her palm burn. Cassian looked down, his eyes narrowed. He knew. Not everything. Enough. Curious, he murmured. Rowan moved between him and Rose. Is there a problem? Cassian looked at the king. No. Lie. Rose did not need heart-seeing to know it. Cassian smiled again. The council will be relieved to see you alive. I look forward to discovering which members are most disappointed. Cassian's smile thinned. Always suspicious. Someone shot me with Veilroot. A persuasive argument. Cassian bowed. Tomorrow, then. He mounted. His party left. Rose watched until the trees swallowed them. Definitely an enemy, she said. Rowan looked at her, unofficially. Of course. A different horse approached before either could move. Rose recognized the rider immediately. Adrian. He stopped so abruptly his horse protested. His gaze went from Rose to Rowan, to the royal guard, to the king's blanket, then back to Rose. Your Majesty. Adrian dismounted and bowed. Rowan barely acknowledged him. Rose's shoulders tightened. Adrian stood. What is happening? Rose answered. You seem capable of observing. His jaw clenched. I am asking why the Alpha King is at your cottage. Rowan's voice changed. Careful. One word. Sovereign pressure struck the clearing. Adrian's knees buckled. He caught himself. Rose felt the force too. Her wolf lowered. Then the invisible sanctuary moved. The pressure around Rose vanished. She remained standing. Everyone noticed. Adrian stared. Rowan stared harder. Rose wished everyone would stop staring. Adrian recovered. Forgive me. His attention returned to Rose, then his nostrils flared. The mate bond had a scent. Rose knew the instant he recognized it. His face drained. No. Rose's stomach turned. Adrian looked at Rowan, then her. You are his mate. Nobody answered. Adrian laughed once, disbelieving. This is impossible. Rose's old wound opened. There it was again. Not congratulations. Not concern. Impossible. Because she was Rose. Because she was an Omega. Because 3 days ago he had decided she was not enough. Adrian stepped toward her. The rejection ceremony was incomplete. Rose froze. What? I never filed the final bond dissolution with the Elder Council. Rowan became terrifyingly still. Adrian continued quickly. The rejection can be rescinded. Rose stared at him. 3 days ago, Adrian had rejected her because she could not strengthen his future. Now a king stood beside her. Suddenly, paperwork mattered. You want to take it back? Adrian lowered his voice. We made a mistake. I made a mistake. Rose almost respected the correction. Then Adrian looked toward Rowan. Only for a second. That second destroyed whatever sympathy remained. You did not make a mistake, Rose said. Adrian frowned. You made a calculation, Rose. You believed I had no value beside the future you wanted. That is not what I meant. It is exactly what you said. Adrian stepped closer. Things are different now. Rose laughed. Yes. His expression softened. Then let me fix it. No. The word came easily. Adrian stared. Think about this. I have. You cannot simply become the king's mate. Rose's anger sharpened. I am not becoming anything. Rowan looked at her. She continued. I was Rose Vale before you rejected me. Her voice steadied. I was Rose Vale when I found a dying wolf beneath my porch. The royal guard became very interested in silence, and I am Rose Vale now. Adrian's face hardened. You do not understand royal politics. Neither did the wolf when I fed him potatoes. A guard made a choking sound. Rowan closed his eyes briefly. Rose almost enjoyed herself. Adrian did not. This is serious. I know. Then return to Frostmere. We can resolve the rejection properly. Rowan moved. Rose raised a hand. He stopped. That mattered. She faced Adrian. You rejected me publicly, yes. You told me I was too weak to stand beside the man you intended to become. Regret crossed his face. I was wrong. About my worth. Yes. Or about who would eventually recognize it. Adrian said nothing. Answer enough. Rose stepped backward. The rejection stands. His wolf pushed into the air. Alpha pressure rose. Not enough to attack, enough to influence. Rose. Her body reacted automatically. Then the pressure vanished. The sanctuary swallowed it. Adrian's eyes widened. Rose felt something inside herself rise. Not dominance, not submission. Absence. A place where neither mattered. Do not ever do that to me again. Adrian stepped back. For the first time in all the years Rose had known him, the beta looked uncertain around her. Not because she had become stronger than him. Because his strength no longer determined what happened. He mounted without another word. Rose watched him leave. Her hands began trembling only after he disappeared. Rowan noticed. He approached, stopped several feet away. May I? Rose knew what he meant. She nodded. Rowan took her hand. No claim, no command, warmth. Her trembling eased. You could have humiliated him, Rose said. Yes, you wanted to. Very much. Why didn't you? Rowan's thumb moved gently across her knuckles. Because he did not reject me. Rose looked up. He hurt you, and therefore the answer belonged to you. The mate bond pulled painfully, not because fate demanded something, because Rowan had just given her what Adrian never had, authority over her own life. Rose withdrew her hand before she did something foolish. Rowan let her. Tell me about Hearthkeepers. His expression became serious. What I know is incomplete. Start there. They returned inside. Rowan sat beside the fire. Rose remained opposite him. Hearthkeepers existed before the 7 packs united, he said. They were Omegas? Some. Then why have I never heard of them? Because history is often written by people who prefer power to look simple. Rose waited. Rowan continued. Alpha authority operates through dominance. Sovereign authority is an amplified version tied to the crown. And Hearthkeepers? They created places where dominance could not compel. Rose looked around her cottage. A sanctuary. Yes, her skin chilled. That is why your command disappeared. I believe so. Then why did my mother never tell me? I do not know. Rose touched the mark. And this, Rowan's expression darkened. I think your sanctuary absorbed part of the Veilroot intended for me. Rose looked toward the blanket. So I did not destroy it. No, I took it, part of it. The cold line had already crossed her wrist. Rose pulled down her sleeve. Rowan caught the movement. How far? Not far. Rose. She glared. He waited. She showed him. His jaw tightened. We are going to the palace physician. No. That was not... Rowan stopped. Rose raised an eyebrow. He exhaled. That was going to be an order. I noticed. I withdraw it. Good. Will you please see the palace physician? Rose considered. Yes? Relief crossed his face. She smiled faintly. You are learning, painfully. That evening, Rowan prepared to leave for the assembly. Rose stood on the porch. You are going back. I have to. Cassian will be watched. By people you trust? Rowan's expression turned grim. By people I trust enough. That is not comforting. No. He looked toward the forest. The assembly is tomorrow at moonrise. If I fail to renew the crown oath before the 3rd bell, the regency vote begins. But you are alive. That may not be enough. Rose frowned. Why? Rowan lifted one hand. Power gathered. She felt the sovereign command before he spoke. Kneel. The words struck the trees. Birds exploded from branches. 2 guards at the clearing's edge dropped instantly. Rose remained standing. Rowan looked at her. That proves the sanctuary works. No. His expression had changed. Rose noticed his hand trembling. What? Watch. He turned away from the cottage, toward Commander Hale. Kneel. Hale stiffened, his knee bent, then stopped halfway. Rowan's power fractured. The commander forced himself upright. Silence fell. Rose stepped from the porch. The sanctuary boundary was behind her now. Again. Rowan looked at her. Rose, do it. His jaw tightened. Kneel. Power hit her. This time Rose felt it. Her wolf whimpered. Her knees weakened. But the force was nowhere near what it had been earlier. Rowan released the command. Rose stared. It is not the cottage. No Veilroot is still inside you. Yes. How much? Enough. The Winter Crown Assembly suddenly meant something different. Rowan could appear. But if the council discovered their king could no longer command as a sovereign, Cashin would not need Rowan dead. Only weak. A rider burst into the clearing. Your Majesty! The messenger jumped from his horse. Rowan turned. Report emergency summons from the council. The man handed him a sealed document. Rowan broke it. Read. His expression became stone. What? He passed the letter to Rose. She read, by order of the Northern Royal Council, demonstration of sovereign authority would be required before renewal of the crown oath. Rose's stomach dropped. They know. Yes. Cashin? Almost certainly. Another line caught her attention. Failure to demonstrate sovereign command would trigger immediate regency proceedings. Rose looked up. When? Tomorrow. The deadline settled between them. One night, Rowan had one night to recover a power Veilroot had spent days destroying, and Rose carried part of the same poison beneath her skin. She looked toward the cottage, the fire, the blanket, the strange sanctuary her mother had left without explanation. What if the answer is here? Rowan followed her gaze. Rose, you said Hearthkeepers could neutralize dominance. Yes, what else could they neutralize? His eyes sharpened. No, you do not even know what I'm suggesting. I know enough. Apparently not, because neither of us knows what this thing can do. The mark is already spreading. So is the poison inside you. That does not make your life expendable. Rose stopped. Rowan's voice had changed. No king, no command, only the man who had once nudged her hand away, because touching him was hurting her. Rose remembered the dying wolf refusing the very power keeping him alive. Her anger softened. You came back. Rowan became still. You were strong enough to leave. Yes, you could have gone directly to your soldiers. Yes, but you came back here. He looked toward the blanket. I did. Why? For the first time since returning with a crown, Rowan Thorne seemed unable to answer. The mate bond warmed between them. Rose waited. Finally, he said, I was not ready to tell you. That is not what I asked. I know. Then why? Rowan looked directly at her. Because I wanted to know whether the place where I had been powerless was still the only place where I had felt safe. Rose forgot how to breathe. Before she could answer, the frost mark beneath her sleeve burned. She gasped. Rowan caught her. The cold raced upward, past her forearm, toward her elbow. At the same moment, Rowan's sovereign presence surged, then collapsed. Both of them fell to their knees. The cottage fire extinguished. Across the clearing, every royal wolf began growling. Not at Rose, not at Rowan, at something moving through the forest. Commander Hale drew his sword. Majesty black shapes appeared between the trees. Men, dozens. Each wore a black sun over the heart. Rose remembered Captain Ward's warning. Do not let anyone bearing the black sun insignia near him. Rowan tried to stand. His sovereign command flickered uselessly. The first attacker raised a Veilroot-tipped crossbow, not toward Rowan, toward Rose, and she understood before anyone spoke. Cassian had solved the mystery. He no longer needed to kill the king. He only needed to destroy the woman keeping him alive. The first crossbow bolt struck the porch post beside Rose's head. Wood splintered across her cheek. Rowan dragged her down as Commander Hale shouted for the Royal Guard to form a shield line. A second bolt hissed through the doorway. It buried itself in the wall behind them. Veilroot. Rose smelled the bitter frost before she saw the black residue spreading around the iron tip. Inside, Rowan said. No. His silver eyes flashed. Rose. No. Outside, Black Sun mercenaries moved between the trees with military precision. Not raiders, not desperate men, professionals. Cassian had planned this. Rowan reached for sovereign command. Power gathered around him, then broke. His face tightened. Rose felt the failure through the mate bond. Frustration, pain, fear he would not name. Commander Hale looked over his shoulder. Majesty, we need to move you. Get Rose out first. Rose turned on Rowan. Stop deciding that. Another bolt struck the roof. Hale swore. Rowan's expression hardened. I am not losing you because of my throne, and I'm not leaving you because of it. Their eyes locked, the world outside filled with steel and shouting. For one heartbeat, none of it mattered. Rowan lowered his voice. Then choose. Rose froze. What? If you want to leave, Hale takes you now. A violent crash sounded from the rear window. Guards rushed toward it. Rowan continued. If you stay, I will not command you later because I become afraid. Rose's throat tightened. You promise? Yes. Even if staying becomes dangerous? It already is. Despite everything, she nearly smiled. Then she looked at the frost mark beneath her sleeve. It had reached past her elbow. Leaving was the safe choice. Perhaps the intelligent one. She could ride beyond the mountain before Cassian understood how much she knew. Rowan could return to the palace. Royal physicians could try to save him. Rose could become nobody's leverage. The old version of her would have chosen isolation. No need, no risk. No one close enough to reject her again. Then Rowan's hand opened between them. He did not reach. He waited. Rose put her hand in his. I stay. A shout came from outside. Fall back. Hale stumbled through the doorway. Blood darkened one sleeve, but he remained standing. They are not trying to breach. Rowan frowned. What are they doing? Driving us toward the road. Rose understood. The assembly. Hale looked at her. They want His Majesty moving. Rowan's face became cold. Cassian does not want me dead here. No, Rose said. He wants everyone to watch you fail. The Black Sun mercenaries suddenly withdrew, not defeated, finished. A horn sounded in the distance. Royal, 3 slow notes. Hale's expression changed. Assembly escort. Rose stared at Rowan. Cassian had forced the timetable. They had one choice left. Go to the Winter Crown Assembly, or let the Regency vote begin without them. 2 hours later, the Royal Hall was full. Rose had never seen so many alphas in one room. 7-pack leaders occupied the crescent benches. Counselors filled the raised gallery. Royal guards lined the walls. At the center stood a black stone dais beneath the crown bell. Rowan entered without holding Rose's hand. She noticed. He could have used the bond as a public declaration. Instead, he gave her space to walk beside him because she had chosen to be there. Whispers followed. The Omega Frostmere. Adrian Cross's rejected mate. Rose heard that one. Of course she did. She kept walking. Cassian Voss waited beside the dais. His charcoal coat was immaculate. No surprise, no visible fear. He bowed to Rowan. Your Majesty, Cassian. I am relieved the attack failed. Rowan stopped. You arranged it. A murmur moved through the hall. Cassian smiled faintly. Then, arrest me. Hale stepped forward. Cassian lifted one hand. Before the crown oath? The council stirred. Cassian turned toward them. His Majesty accuses a royal counselor without evidence, while his sovereign command remains unverified. Rowan's jaw tightened. There it was. The trap. Cassian did not need innocence. He needed procedure. An elder alpha rose. The assembly has already convened. Another added, The crown oath must be renewed before criminal proceedings, Hale whispered. Majesty, Rose saw Rowan calculate. If he arrested Cassian now, it would look like a weakened king, silencing the man demanding proof of his authority. Cassian knew it. He smiled. Shall we begin? The first bell rang. Rose felt the sound in her ribs. Rowan climbed the dais. The crown was placed before him, silver and black iron, old heavy, the symbol of the power Cassian wanted to expose as broken. A council elder stepped forward. Rowan Thorne, Alpha King of the 7 Northern Pacts, demonstrate the sovereign command by ancient law. Rowan looked across the hall. 7 alphas waited. Rose could feel their wolves, some loyal, some uncertain, some hungry for weakness. The ritual required only one command, one undeniable response. Rowan drew a breath. Kneel. Power hit the hall. For half a second it worked. Guards lowered. 2 alphas bent. Then the force fractured. The others remained standing. Silence. Cassian did not smile immediately. He let everyone else understand first. That made it worse. The elder alpha stared at Rowan. Again. Rowan's face gave nothing away. Rose felt the agony behind it. He tried. Kneel, less power. Only the nearest guards reacted. Cassian finally smiled. Regency. The words spread through the chamber. Rose's heartbeat accelerated. Rowan stepped down from the dais. Cassian addressed the council. The sovereign crown exists because the king can bind the pacts during existential threat. He looked toward Rowan. If the crown cannot command, then the law is clear. A pack leader rose. Regency vote. Another followed. Then another. Cassian had prepared them. Rose could see it now. Not all were traitors. Some were afraid. That was more useful to Cassian than loyalty. Adrian appeared among Frostmere's delegation. Rose's stomach tightened. He looked different in formal beta armor. More powerful, more familiar. He approached. Rose, not now. You need to come with Frostmere. No. His voice dropped. This is turning into treason, I noticed. If Rowan loses the crown, you lose whatever protection you think you have. There it was. Again, protection as ownership, safety as obedience. Rose turned toward him. I had a life before Rowan came back. You were alone in a mountain cottage. Yes, you call that a life? Rose went still. Adrian realized too late what he had said. Rose, I did not mean... You always mean it after. His face tightened. Behind them, Cassian called for the vote. Adrian caught Rose's wrist. Come with me. She looked down at his hand. Let go. Not until you listen. Rowan saw. He took one step. Rose raised her free hand. Stop. Rowan stopped. The entire hall seemed to notice. An Alpha King had been told not to interfere, and he had listened. Adrian noticed too. Something bitter crossed his face. You think that makes you equal to him? Rose looked at him. No. Then what? It means he respects an answer. Adrian's wolf pushed against the air. Rose. She felt his authority, not full alpha, but enough to press an omega instinct. Come home. Her knees weakened. Cassian turned. Interest replaced boredom. Adrian tightened his grip. You are still tied to Frostmere law until the rejection is finalized. Rose's chest tightened. Do not. I'm trying to help you. Then let go. He did not. Cassian spoke from the dais. Beta Cross. Adrian looked toward him. Perhaps Frostmere should resolve its domestic matter outside. The insult was deliberate. Domestic matter. Rose reduced again. A discarded omega interfering in royal politics. Adrian's embarrassment turned to anger. His dominance rose. Kneel. The words struck Rose. Her wolf recoiled. For one instant she almost obeyed. Then the frost mark burned. Heat rushed from the old blanket folded over her arm. The embroidered flame inside the crescent moon flashed silver. Adrian's command vanished. Rose remained standing. His fingers loosened. Confusion crossed his face. What? Cassian's attention sharpened. Adrian tried again. "Kneel." Nothing. Rose pulled her wrist free. Every conversation in the hall died. Adrian stared. "You cannot resist pack authority." Rose's voice was steady. "Apparently I can." "No." His disbelief turned ugly. "Rose, kneel." Nothing. A Frostmere Alpha stood from the delegation. "Beta Cross, enough." Cassian raised a hand. "Wait." The Alpha looked toward him. Cassian's eyes had fixed on the blanket. Rose followed his gaze. The sigil, he knew it. Cassian descended from the dais, slowly. "What is that, Mark?" Rose said nothing. He approached. Rowan moved between them. Cassian smiled, protective, careful. "Your command cannot hold the room anymore." Cassian's voice softened. "Perhaps hers can." Rose's stomach tightened. "She has no command." "No." Cassian looked at Adrian. "Order her again." Rowan's voice became lethal. "Do not." Cassian looked amused. "Majesty, your warning carries considerably less force than it did last winter." The hall shifted uneasily. Cassian turned toward another Alpha. Alpha Brenner, a heavy-set man, rose. "Command her to kneel." Brenner frowned. "This proves nothing." "Then indulge me." Brenner looked at Rose. "I have no jurisdiction over her." Cassian smiled. An ethical concern from an Alpha counselor. How refreshing. Brenner's jaw hardened. Then he said, "Kneel." Power rolled toward Rose. The blanket warmed. The mark in her arm burned. The command disappeared before reaching her. Brenner's face changed. Confusion. Cassian stopped smiling. There, Rose saw it, the first crack. He looked toward the floor. A thin line of melted frost was spreading beneath Rose's boots, impossible indoors. The circle widened, around her, around Rowan, around the dais. Cassian whispered, "No." The Hearthkeeper sigil glowed. Rose's mother had sewn it into the blanket stitch by stitch, a symbol Rose had carried for years without understanding. Cassian understood. His face drained. Hearthkeeper. The word moved through the assembly. Several elders stood. One whispered, "They died out." Cassian shook his head. "No, they were erased." Rose turned toward him. "By whom?" His eyes snapped to hers. He had said too much. Rowan heard it. "So you know the history." Cassian's arrogance returned by force. "I know enough." Rose looked toward the 7 Alphas. "Then explain it." Cassian laughed. "You think this changes anything?" It changed his command. Adrian stood frozen behind her. Cassian pointed toward Rowan. "He cannot rule." Rose felt the sanctuary opening, not because she commanded it, because everyone in that hall was trying to decide who had the right to force whom. Her power answered the question. No one. The melted circle reached the crescent benches. Alpha pressure vanished from the room. Every wolf lifted its head, free, uneasy, awake. One counselor tries to push dominance toward another. Nothing happened. Another Alpha whispered, "I cannot feel rank." Cassian stepped backward. Recognition entered his face, then denial. Rowan looked at Rose. "What are you doing? I do not know." Cassian's voice rose. "Stop her." No one moved. "Stop her." Still nothing. His terror arrived. Not fear that Rose could overpower him. Fear that she made his entire understanding of power irrelevant. Rose was not the strongest Alpha in the chamber. She was not an Alpha at all. Inside her sanctuary, that distinction no longer decided whose will mattered. Adrian stared at her. Years of certainty collapsed behind his eyes. "You were never weak." Rose looked at him. "No." The answer felt peaceful. "I was never yours to measure." Cassian's control snapped. He pulled a small black vial from inside his coat. Rowan moved. "Cassian." The vial shattered against the dais. Veilroot vapor burst across the hall. Guards shouted. Alpha staggered. Rowan dropped to one knee. The mate bond screamed. Rose ran to him. "Rowan." His silver eyes darkened. The residual poison inside him awakened. Cassian laughed. Let us see what your sanctuary protects when the king has no power left to surrender. Rose looked at the spreading vapor, then at the alphas trapped inside the chamber. Her moral boundary became brutally simple. Innocent people were breathing poison. She opened the hearthbound field completely. Warmth exploded outward. The vapor stopped, not vanished, absorbed. Rose screamed. Frost raced beneath her skin, wrist, elbow, shoulder, across her chest. Rowan caught her. No. She could barely breathe. The poison drained from him, from the guards, from the alphas, into her. Cassian's laughter stopped. Hail seized him. Evidence spilled from Cassian's coat when he fell. Letters, black sun payment seals, Veilroot requisitions. The room had its proof. Victory. For 1 second, Rose felt it. Cassian exposed. Rowan alive. The Regency conspiracy broken. Then her wolf cried out inside her. Rose gasped. Something was pulling away. A silver cream shape at the edge of her consciousness. Her wolf. No. She reached inward. The connection slipped. Rowan's face changed. What is happening? Rose tried to answer. The frost mark reached the center of her chest. Her heartbeat stuttered. The sanctuary collapsed. Sound crashed back into the hall. Alphas shouted. Cassian was dragged away. Adrian stood motionless. None of it mattered. Rose could no longer feel her wolf. She grabbed Rowan's shirt. I cannot find her. His arms tightened around her. Rose, she is gone. No, I cannot feel her. The triumph in the assembly turned to horror. Rowan lifted Rose into his arms. She was too cold to feel his warmth, too frightened to care that everyone was watching. 3 days earlier, Rose had given a wounded wolf her only blanket because she could not leave him freezing beneath her porch. Now the king held her before the entire Northern Council. The crown was safe, the conspiracy had failed, and Rose was paying for both with the one part of herself no shifter could survive losing unchanged. Her wolf. Rose woke without her wolf. That was the first thing she knew, before the ache in her chest, before the cold beneath her skin, before the unfamiliar ceiling of the royal infirmary came into focus. Something inside her was missing. She closed her eyes and reached inward. Nothing answered. No silver cream presence, no familiar instinct, no quiet awareness moving beneath her thoughts, only emptiness. Rose sat up. Pain tore through her ribs. A hand moved toward her shoulder, then stopped. Rowan. He sat beside the bed wearing the same dark shirt from the assembly. Veilroot stains marked the fabric near his collar. He looked as though he had not slept. Rose swallowed. How long? 6 hours. His voice was rough. My wolf? Rowan did not lie. I do not know. Rose looked away. The room was too warm. She was still freezing. Her hands lay on top of the blanket. The frost marks had faded from black to pale silver, but thin branches still climbed from her wrists toward her chest. She pressed one palm against her sternum. Nothing. Rose. I am fine. Rowan's expression changed. She hated that he had learned what those words usually meant. No, Rose looked at him. What? You are not fine. That is very encouraging. It is honest. She almost snapped back. Then remembered the dying wolf beneath her porch, pushing her hand away, because he knew saving him hurt her. Honesty had always come easier from Rowan, when he had nothing left to protect with pride. Rose looked toward the window. What happened after I collapsed? Cassian was arrested. Adrian? Still alive, despite several compelling reasons otherwise. Rose almost smiled. Rowan. He is under Frostmere supervision. The council, Regency proceedings stopped. So you won. Rowan's face hardened. No. Rose looked at him. The crown is intact. Cassian failed. You survived, and you cannot feel your wolf. Silence. Rose turned away. That was my decision. Yes, you did not force me. No. Then stop carrying guilt that belongs to me. Rowan leaned forward. It does not belong to you either. Rose laughed softly. Someone has to carry something. There, his voice sharpened. That. She frowned. What? You speak as if pain becomes legitimate only after someone claims responsibility for it. Rose stared. He continued. You gave me the blanket. You absorbed Veilroot. You protected an entire assembly, and now you are trying to make even the consequences entirely yours. Her jaw tightened. I know how to handle myself, do you? The question landed badly. Rose pushed back the blankets. What are you doing? Leaving? No. Her eyes narrowed. Rowan immediately corrected himself. Please do not leave yet. Better, still infuriating. Rose stood. Her knees nearly collapsed. She caught the bed frame. Rowan did not touch her. He waited. Rose hated that too. She took one step, then another. The cold sharpened. Her wolf remained absent. I need air. You need the physician. I already know what the physician will say. You have not heard it. I absorbed too much poison. My wolf is gone. Very tragic. Rowan's expression became dangerously still. Do not reduce yourself because you are frightened. Rose froze. The words struck too close. Adrian had reduced her publicly. Weak. Not enough. Now Rose was doing it to herself before anyone else could. She looked away. I need to move. Rowan stood. Then I will walk with you. I can walk alone. I know. Then why come? He held her gaze. Because I want to. That answer left nowhere for her anger to go. Rose opened the door. The corridor outside was quiet. Too quiet. Every guard lowered his head when she passed. Rose hated it. Yesterday they barely knew her name. Now reverence followed her through the halls because she had done something extraordinary. The old wound twisted. Would they have noticed her if she had simply survived? If she had not saved a king? If she had remained only Rose Vale? She walked faster. Rowan followed without crowding. At the end of the corridor, Dr. Alara Wynne waited beside a table covered in old books. Rose stopped. You already knew I would come. No. Alara looked at Rowan. He did. Rose sighed. Wonderful. Alara opened a leather-bound volume. The Hearthkeeper sigil appeared on the first page. Flame inside crescent moon, Rose's mother's symbol. Her breath caught. Where did you find that? Royal Archives. Forbidden? Yes. Why? Alara glanced toward Rowan. He answered. Because rulers have historically disliked records explaining where their authority stops. Rose almost laughed. That sounds believable. Alara turned the page. A drawing showed a crowned wolf standing outside a circular hearth, not inside, waiting. Rose leaned closer. What is this? A sanctuary rite. Alara traced the old script. Hearthkeepers were never intended to absorb everything they neutralized. Rose frowned. But I did. Yes. Why? Because the second half of the rite was missing. Rowan went still. Rose looked between them. What second half? Alara pointed toward the crowned wolf. The protected alpha had to voluntarily surrender part of his dominance into the sanctuary. Rose stared. Why? To balance it. Alara looked directly at her. Hearthbound protection was never meant to be sacrifice flowing in one direction. The words struck deeper than medicine. Rose said nothing. Alara continued. The Keeper offers sanctuary. The Alpha accepts limitation. Protection moves one way, power moves the other. Rose looked at Rowan. You knew? I learned an hour ago. And I told Alara to wait until you were awake. You could have done it while I slept. Yes, but you did not. No. Why? Rowan's jaw tightened as though the answer offended him by being obvious. Because your body is not territory. Rose forgot her next question. Alara quietly turned another page. Rose recovered. What would happen if we complete the rite? To you? Ilara paused. Your wolf may reconnect. May, we cannot promise. And Rowan, Ilara's expression changed. That depends on how much he gives. Rose immediately shook her head. No, Rowan exhaled. Rose, you need sovereign command. I need enough. You are king. Yes, you nearly lost the crown yesterday because your power was weak. Yes, and your solution is to make it weaker. My solution is to stop letting you pay for my survival alone. Rose stepped back. No. Rowan did not argue. That made her angrier. Say something. What would you like me to say? That this is ridiculous. It is not. That you need the crown more. I do not. You represent 7 packs, and you represent yourself. His voice softened. That should be enough. Rose stared at him, then turned toward Ilara. There has to be another way. There may be. Hope rose. Ilara destroyed it gently. I do not know one. Rose looked at the books. I can try opening the sanctuary again. Rowan's face changed. No, Rose ignored him. If I absorb the remaining Veilroot correctly, no. She stepped toward the hearth set into the infirmary wall. Rose, I did it once. You nearly died, but I understand it better now. That is fear pretending to be competence. Rose spun. Do not psychoanalyze me, then stop proving me right. She glared. He remained calm. That made it worse. Rose reached toward the Hearthkeeper sigil carved into the book. Warmth responded immediately. The frost marks brightened. Ilara stepped forward. Rose, do not. Rose opened the sanctuary, only a little. Warmth moved outward. The cold in her chest moved inward. Wrong direction. Rose gasped. Her knees buckled. The silver marks darkened. Something inside her tore. A faint whimper echoed through her consciousness. Rose froze. Her wolf. For one glorious second, she felt her. Then the connection snapped harder than before. Rose screamed. Rowan caught her. The sanctuary collapsed. She shoved against him. I had her. No, I felt her. You were losing her. I was close. You were killing yourself. Rose tore free. I can fix this. Rowan's expression broke. Not anger. Pain. Why must you? Rose stopped. Because it is mine. The problem, my body, the cost, the mistake. He stepped closer, but not the love. Rose's breath caught. The word hung between them. Neither had said it before. Rowan's voice lowered. You insist everything painful belongs to you alone. He opened one hand. But anything good must be proven before you trust it. Rose looked at his palm. Adrian had taught her that being chosen could be revoked. Rejection had taught her that dependence was dangerous, so Rose had built a life around needing nothing. No pack, no mate, no rescue, no debt, and somehow she had turned even love into another thing she had to survive alone. What if you regret it? Rowan's expression softened. Giving up power? Yes, I might. Rose stared. The honesty hurt. I might hate what it costs. He took another step. I might become angry, frustrated, afraid. Rose swallowed. That does not mean I would regret you. Silence. She looked at Ilara. If he does this, can it be reversed? Not fully. Rose turned back. How much command? Rowan answered. Enough that the sanctuary cannot feed on you alone. That is not a number. No, you could permanently weaken the crown. Yes, for me. His gaze held hers. For a choice I am making. Rose closed her eyes. There it was, the thing she had demanded from everyone else, agency. And now she was trying to deny it to him, because his choice frightened her. She opened her eyes. What do I have to do? Ilara brought the old blanket, Rose's blanket, the one she had wrapped around a dying wolf. The repaired tear still crossed one corner. The original rite was simple, Ilara said. The keeper offers shelter. The sovereign enters without command. Rose touched the fabric, and then, he surrenders power. You choose whether to receive it. Not force, not fate. Choice. Rowan removed the crown from his head. Rose had almost forgotten he was wearing it. He placed it on the table. The room changed. Not magically, emotionally, no symbol between them, just Rowan. He stopped at the edge of the circular hearthkeeper mark Alara had drawn across the floor, then waited. Rose understood. The first night returned, her porch, the wounded wolf. "You can stay until morning." Rose's throat tightened. "Come in." Rowan crossed the circle. His sovereign command surged automatically. The sanctuary resisted. He grimaced. Rose felt his power pressing against the boundary. Then Rowan lowered his head, voluntarily. Power began leaving him, not ripped away, given the invisible pressure around him diminished. The frost marks beneath Rose's skin ignited. She cried out. Rowan stopped immediately. "Do you want me to stop?" Rose could barely breathe. Her old instinct screamed, yes. Protect yourself. Protect him. Need no one. Then somewhere deep inside, a weak silver cream wolf moved. Rose began crying. "No." She held out her hand. "Keep going." Rowan took it. The sanctuary opened. Warmth moved between them. Different this time. Balanced. The cold inside Rose flowed outward. Sovereign power flowed inward. Neither consumed the other. The frost marks retreated. Rose gasped. Her wolf appeared, small, weak, alive. Rose dropped to her knees. Rowan followed. His own power dimmed with every breath. The overwhelming alpha presence disappeared. For the first time, Rose felt him without crown, rank, or dominance. A man, tired, afraid, choosing her. Her wolf lifted her head. Rose sobbed. "There you are." Rowan's fingers tightened gently. "Is she back?" "Yes." Relief broke across his face. Rose laughed through tears. "You look terrible. So did you when we met. You were the one bleeding under my porch. You fed me potatoes. You survived. Barely." Rose moved closer, not because the bond pulled, because she wanted to. Rowan waited. "Even now." Rose touched his face, then kissed him. Soft, brief, chosen. When she pulled away, Rowan did not chase her mouth. He rested his forehead against hers. "Rose?" "Yes?" The rejection. She stiffened slightly. "Adrian's?" "Yes. What about it? It taught you something false." Her eyes burned again. "That being rejected means I was worthless?" "No." Rowan shook his head. "That love is safest when you never need anything." Rose went still. He was right. She hated that. Then Rose smiled. "You are becoming irritatingly perceptive." "I had 3 days of wolf silence to practice." She laughed. Alara cleared her throat. Rose turned. The physician looked deeply unimpressed. "I am delighted everyone is emotionally transformed." Rowan almost smiled. But His Majesty's sovereign command is now permanently reduced inside any recognized Hearthkeeper sanctuary." Rose looked at Rowan. He shrugged. "That sounds reasonable," Alara continued, "and possibly somewhat weakened outside one." Rose's smile vanished. "Rowan." He looked at her. "Know what? You do not get to say it was worth it before we know the cost." His expression softened. "Fair?" Rose blinked. "That was easy. I am learning." Commander Hale entered carrying a leather packet. Majesty, Rowan sighed. Apparently peace lasted almost 4 minutes. Hale placed the packet on the table. Cassian confessed to funding the Black Sun mercenaries. Veilroot, purchased through intermediaries. Hale removed a small black vial. An unfamiliar symbol marked the base, a ring of gray ash. Alara frowned. Ashen circle. Rose looked at Rowan. Another conspiracy? Possibly. The old instinct rose instantly. Fix it. Protect everyone. Carry the next burden. Rose felt it, then stopped. She reached for the blanket instead. "Tomorrow." Hale blinked. "Tomorrow?" Rose looked at Rowan. He smiled. "Excellent answer." Hale collected the papers. "For once, I agree." He left. Rose leaned against Rowan. His presence felt smaller now, not lesser, human. Her wolf curled quietly inside her, alive. For the first time since Adrian's rejection, Rose understood that needing another person did not erase the life she had built, and accepting help did not make that life belong to them. She had given Rowan warmth when he had nothing. Now he had given up power when he had everything, not as payment, not as debt, because love that only travels in one direction eventually becomes sacrifice, and neither of them wanted that kind of love anymore. Cassian Voss was sentenced before the first snow melted from the palace steps. The tribunal did not celebrate, neither did Rose. She stood beside Rowan while the former counselor listened to the charges against him. Conspiracy against the crown, unlawful use of Veilroot, attempted regicide, and the deployment of Black Sun mercenaries against civilians and royal guards. Cassian accepted almost all of it. Only once did he look directly at Rowan. "You still believe the crown should remain what it was?" Rowan answered without raising his voice. A murmur moved through the chamber. Cassian frowned. Rowan continued, "You were right that sovereign command required limits." Rose felt several alphas shift behind her. "You were wrong to decide that fear, poison, and manipulated scarcity gave you the right to choose those limits for everyone else." Cassian's face tightened. History rarely changes because people ask politely. Perhaps. Rowan looked toward Rose. But power that cannot survive consent deserves to change. That was the end of Cassian's argument. He would remain imprisoned while the council traced every Veilroot payment connected to the Ashen Circle. Adrian's case ended more quietly. Frostmere's Elder Council confirmed what Rose already knew. A rejected bond could not be restored without the consent of both people. Adrian found her outside the tribunal hall. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he said, "I was wrong." Rose believed him. That did not mean she owed him another chance. "I know." His mouth tightened. "I did care about you. I know that too. Then why does it feel like none of it matters?" Rose considered the question. Because caring about someone is not the same as respecting who they are. Adrian looked down. The answer hurt him. Rose did not enjoy that. She simply let it remain true. "The rejection stands," she said. He nodded. This time, he did not argue. Weeks later, the Northern Council restored the ancient sanctuary law. Inside any recognized Hearthkeeper sanctuary, supernatural coercion was forbidden. No alpha command, no sovereign command, no forced bond claim, no rank could override consent. Several alphas objected. Rowan let them. That was part of his transformation too. Rose was offered a place beside the crown. She declined. For now. Instead, she became the first recognized Hearthkeeper in generations and returned to the mountain cottage where the entire story had begun. Rowan visited 3 days later. Of course he did. Rose heard his horse before she saw him. Then boots crossed the porch. A knock followed. She opened the door. The Alpha King stood outside without guards. He wore no ceremonial coat, no visible crown, only a dark sweater, snow in his hair, and something folded over one arm. Rose stared. "My blanket." Rowan looked down at it. "Yes, you stole it. I borrowed it under extreme medical circumstances. You disappeared with it for weeks. It required repair." Rose took the blanket. The torn edge had been carefully stitched. The worn wool had been cleaned. But one ragged corner remained exactly as it had been the night she wrapped it around a dying silver wolf. Rose touched the rough edge. "You left this?" "Yes." "Why?" Rowan became quiet. Rose looked up. "Why not replace the entire thing?" He stepped onto the porch but stopped at the threshold. Even now, waiting. Rose smiled. "You may come inside." Rowan entered. The cottage fire was already burning. Rose laid the blanket across the back of her chair. Rowan removed something else from beneath his arm. The crown. Rose blinked. "What are you doing with that? Taking it off? That seems politically irresponsible. I have guards at the road, so not entirely irresponsible. I am capable of growth." Rose laughed. Rowan placed the crown on the table. Then he picked up the repaired blanket. This mattered more. Rose's smile faded. What did? The first night. He touched the unfinished corner. This. Rose waited. Rowan's voice lowered. That was the first thing anyone had given me in years while believing I had nothing to give back. Her throat tightened. You were a bleeding wolf. Exactly. You looked terrible. I was magnificent. You were half frozen under my porch. Regally half frozen. Rose laughed, but tears had already gathered. Rowan looked toward the fire. When people approached me as king, there was always a reason. Protection, influence, money, access, forgiveness. His fingers tightened around the blanket. You thought I was powerless. Rose whispered, I thought you were dying, and you gave me the only warm thing you owned. She looked at the crown on the table, then at the blanket. You came back when you had everything. Rowan met her eyes. I came back because you wanted nothing. The mate bond warmed between them, not demanding, not pulling, present. Rose moved closer, not entirely true. Rowan raised an eyebrow. I wanted my blanket back. He laughed. The sound filled the small cottage. Rose leaned into him. For a while, neither spoke. There was no assembly waiting, no council vote, no alpha command pressing against her bones, only two people beside a fire. The crown remained on the table. The blanket rested across both their shoulders. Rose looked toward it. Do you regret giving up part of your sovereign command? Rowan answered carefully. Sometimes I regret the inconvenience. She smiled. That is not what I asked. No, he touched her hand. I do not regret choosing a world where my power has somewhere it is required to stop. Rose looked at him. That answer mattered almost as much as the blanket. Rose reached for the blanket's unfinished corner again. I nearly threw this away after Adrian rejected me. Rowan looked at her. Why? Because it reminded me of the life I thought I was supposed to have. She smiled. Now it reminds me that losing one future can make room for another. Rowan kissed her forehead. One you chose, we chose. She had once believed love was safest when she needed nobody. Rowan had believed power was safest when he needed nobody. Both had been wrong. Rose rested her palm against his chest. His heartbeat was steady. His wolf stirred warmly through the bond. Her own silver cream wolf answered. Alive, whole, not owned. Perhaps that is what this story leaves behind. Kindness reveals its truest shape when we offer it to someone we believe cannot repay us. But love asks something even harder. It asks whether we can receive without feeling weak, and whether we can give without turning generosity into control. Adrian rejected Rose before understanding her worth. Cassian recognized a real danger in unchecked power, then let pain become permission for cruelty. So what would you do? If someone rejected you before understanding your worth, would you ever give them a second chance after they finally saw what they lost? Tell me what you think in the comments. And if Rose and Rowan's journey stayed with you, you can gently support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing so we can meet again for another story. The Ashen Circle still existed somewhere beyond the northern roads. A single Veilroot vial proved that. But that mystery belonged to another day. Tonight the conspiracy was broken. Cassian had fallen. Adrian had accepted Rose's answer. The crown had changed. Rose had her wolf, and Rowan had returned to the same door he once approached, with nothing but blood in his fur, and trust he did not know how to give. Outside, snow covered the mountain path. Inside, the crown sat untouched on the table. The old blanket covered them both. Rose smiled against Rowan's shoulder. He pulled the wool higher around her. No throne, no rejection, no command, just warmth freely given, and warmth freely returned. Wherever you are listening tonight, may your home be filled with peace, your body with health, and your heart with the strength to know your worth before anyone else recognizes it. May you and your family be blessed with happiness, safety, abundance, faithful love, and gentle people who never make you earn the right to belong. And may God watch over you, protect those you love, and guide you safely through every season still ahead.